As a cybersecurity architect, when designing, configuring, and operating Microsoft 365, it's essential to focus on three core areas such as Zero Trust Foundation, defending against threats, and protecting and governing sensitive data. Zero Trust begins with the foundation of identity and device protection. You then think of building threat protection capabilities on top of Zero Trust Foundation to provide real-time monitoring and remediation of security threats. Information protection and governance provide sophisticated controls targeted at specific types of data to protect your most valuable information and to help you comply with compliance standards. Let's get into the details of this design consideration one by one. Let's deep dive into the Zero Trust Foundation first for M365 security. Building a Zero Trust Foundation involves configuring and enforcing stringent security policies around identity, device access, and application management. To mention, there are 5 different rows on the screen. Blue rows are related to identity and green indicates rows related to devices. In this Zero Trust Foundation, we will read these rows from the bottom to top. Bottom indicates the first layer in the Zero Trust Foundation. So, first row indicates that there are different ways of building and using identity store. Your identity store could be cloud-only identities, means they sit in the Entra ID tenant, or you are syncing your identities from your identity store sitting on-premise using PHS or PTA. PHS is password hash synchronization and PTA is pass-through authentication. There are different use cases that enable whether you should go for PHS or PTA. For Identity Federation, you end up setting up Active Directory Federation services which demands additional infrastructure, and such config is needed in specific use cases. Understanding your identity infrastructure is a key, and ensuring that you have right mechanism for identity security is crucial. So once you configure your identity store, you then move to establishing basic Zero Trust identity and device access controls to protect your environment. How do you do this? You do this by creating conditional access policies or SaaS app integration. Conditional access policies is used to enforce rules based on user, device, location, and risk. For example, require MAP for access from untrusted locations or devices. And by registering SaaS application, you can manage access and apply consistent security policies to applications. You then ensure all devices accessing corporate resources are enrolled in a device management solution such as Intune. Using Intune, you can enforce security configurations such as encryption, password policies, and firewall settings on enrolled devices, and you can also configure MDM policies for mobile devices to control access, manage apps, and secure data. You then set up compliance policies in Intune to ensure that devices meet security requirements before accessing corporate resources. Compliance policies in Intune can specify the minimum security standards devices must meet, such as OS version, patch level, and encryption status. You can configure actions for non-compliant devices such as blocking access or requiring remediation steps as well. Once all these basic Zero Trust consideration applied, you can then move to enhancing your Zero Trust posture by implementing more advanced identity and device access control such as advanced conditional access and privilege access management. Advanced conditional access might include identity protection to apply risk-based policies that respond to real-time signals, such as detecting risk sign-ins or compromised accounts. Privilege access management might include use of secure workstation and privilege identity management solutions such as Azure PIM. So overall, by following this approach, you can establish a robust Zero Trust foundation in Microsoft 365 and ensure that every access request is thoroughly authenticated, devices are securely managed, and sensitive data is protected. This step-by-step process creates a security posture where trust is continuously verified, which minimizes the risk of breaches and unauthorized access. Now let's move to the next topic on how to defend against threats in Microsoft 365. Defending against threats in Microsoft 365 involves a multi-layer security approach that covers device management, identity protection, threat detection, and response across all endpoints and cloud apps. Green row indicates rows for device security, and sky blue rows indicate security operation team making use of Microsoft Defender XDR capability to defend, monitor, and action Microsoft 365 workload. In the first step, to protect devices against threats, you must ensure that they are configured according to best practices for security. Microsoft Intune allows you to deploy configuration profile that enforce these security settings across all managed devices. Microsoft 365 Defender is an integrated threat protection solution that covers identity, Office 365, endpoints, and cloud apps. Deploying it across these areas is crucial to defend against sophisticated attacks. Monitoring device risk and ensuring compliance with security baselines are critical for maintaining a secure environment. You can use Intune to continuously monitor device compliance with security baselines. Devices that fall out of compliance should be flagged for remediation. To protect the access and use of SaaS applications, you need to implement policies in Microsoft Defender for cloud apps that enforce security controls and compliance. This might include session control, data loss prevention, and activity detection. By following these practices, you create a robust defense against threats within Microsoft 365, ensuring that devices are hardened, identities are protected, and SaaS applications are used securely. This comprehensive approach to threat management reduces the risk of breaches and helps maintain the integrity and security of your organization's data and resources. Protecting and governing sensitive data within Microsoft 365 requires a structured approach to data classification, labeling, and enforcement of data handling policies. A data sensitivity schema is the foundational structure that categorizes data based on its level of sensitivity. This schema guides how data is classified, labeled, and protected across the organization. You identify data types, sensitivity labels, and data classification in this step. You must ensure the schema aligns with business needs and regulatory requirements. Sensitive information types and sensitivity labels are key components for classifying and protecting data. You review existing sensitive information types in Microsoft Purview information protection, such as credit card numbers, social security numbers, or health records. If necessary, create custom sensitive information types to match your organization's unique data protection needs. You create sensitivity labels in Microsoft Purview that correspond to the sensitivity labels defined in your schema. Data handling standards establish guidelines for how sensitive data should be managed, accessed, and shared within the organization. Some of the things that might be included in the data handling standards are data access, data storage, data sharing, user training, and documentation. Auto-labeling rules automatically apply sensitivity labels to documents and emails based on the content, which reduce the risk of human error in data classification. You can set up rules in Microsoft Purview that trigger auto-labeling based on specific conditions, such as the presence of sensitive information types in a document. You can decide where these rules should apply, such as across SharePoint, OneDrive, or Exchange Online, and target specific types of content. DLP policies help prevent the accidental or intentional sharing of sensitive information outside your organization. DLP policies can be created for several actions that users take. You can determine the common pathways for sensitive data, such as email, cloud storage, or collaboration platforms. You can create DLP policies in Microsoft Purview to monitor and control these data flows. For example, prevent the sharing of sensitive documents via email or block access to unapproved cloud storage services. Before full-scale deployment, it's important to pilot these capabilities to ensure they are working as expected and to fine-tune them. You should choose a representative group of users or departments to pilot the classification, labeling, information protection, and DLP policies. You then gather feedback from the pilot group on the usability and effectiveness of the policies. Monitor for any operational impact or disruption. Make necessary adjustment to the policies based on pilot feedback, such as refining auto-labeling rules or tweaking DLP thresholds. Once refined, deploy the policies across the entire organization, ensuring that all users and data types are covered. By following this structured approach, administrators can effectively protect and govern sensitive data within Microsoft 365, which ensure compliance with regulatory requirements and minimize the risk of data breaches. Hope you got a good understanding on design, configuration, and operational practices that you can consider for Microsoft 365 workload.